Welcome to today's, I guess I should say tonight's Fireside with Jesse. I am joined today by Ricardo Rios from Commercial Equipment Finance. Ricky, thank you for joining me.
Pleasure. Love to participate in this chat.
No, I appreciate you taking the time, man. So thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Ricky, if you don't mind, and CEFI.
Sure. So Commercial Equipment Finance and CEFI, as you know, or as well said, is an independent finance company based in San Juan, Puerto Rico. The company was launched in 2010. So I guess, last year we were celebrating our 10-year anniversary. We have, since day one, grown organically, to say, in originations and platform and assets under management, so on and so forth. So take a step back of it, we're a full-service independent finance company. So we originate, we service all the paper that we originate, and we basically work off of bank lines and also syndicate paper to funding source partners as well. And we're, like I mentioned, based in San Juan, Puerto Rico, where in Puerto Rico, we're basically equipment generalists. We're agnostic to collateral types. We'll finance any type of equipment from transportation, construction, renewable energy, manufacturing equipment, hospital equipment, printing equipment, you name it. As part of our growth, we then ventured into the United States in 2015. A move that we can talk about more in depth during the call, but my father and I basically started that, I guess you can say, seed and those operations in the United States. And 5-6 years afterwards, I would say we're happy to report that we're a more diversified and company, obviously, of not putting all your eggs in one basket, as you mentioned, and continue to grow our platform both in Puerto Rico and the United States, which we're happy to continue growing.
No, and that's a good point there. So I know you guys started off in Miami, which who doesn't want to have a company in Miami, right? And then you opened up one in Texas as well.
Correct. So, going back down that path, it was very interesting conversations. At that time, when we started Commercial Equipment Finance, or better said, when Ricardo Sr. and his co-founder, Guillermo Perez, started Commercial Equipment Finance, they were basically tenured industry veterans. They worked for, my father started his career with associates back in the 80s in Houston, Texas, where I was born. Then he was moved to the state of Florida to run the associates transportation operations there. Then afterwards, in 1996, he was asked by the associates to move to Puerto Rico, basically back to his hometown where he was from and grew up, to start the associates transportation and construction and transportation business in Puerto Rico, which then was sold to City Capital, and then which was sold to G Capital, and then after the debacle or the financial breakdown, basically G Capital stopped operations in Puerto Rico, and both my father and his co-founder basically were left with the severance, and they took the bold move in that time to say that, let's start our own finance company. So, where I was actually going with this point was that in 2014, we had investors at the company. They were investors from day one that helped us to start the company and have the capital to start bank facilities to leverage, to have the proper capital for leverage. And in 2014, we were thinking, we're based in San Juan, Puerto Rico. We want to grow out of Puerto Rico, and the management's thought was, let's go to Dominican Republic, let's go to Panama, let's go to South America. And there was, when we had a conversation with our board of directors, which were investors in the company, that also are business-oriented entrepreneurs that have both done or opened business in Panama, Republic, Dominican Republic, and so on and so forth. And they've also opened up businesses in the States. So, we were having a conversation with them. I said, listen, and what we obviously also knew, but wasn't part of the discussions, was that, if we're going to go into Dominican Republic or Panama, you have to invest a sizable amount of money for legal preparation, docs. Obviously, these are different. While we speak Spanish, they're different cultures. Different. I guess you can say slang, different. Different ways of doing business.
At the end of the day, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, as much as I guess you could be considered sister islands, there's really not that.
Well, there is.
My ex-wife was Puerto Rican, and with the whole like Dominicans, it's like okay.
Yeah, there's a lot to share, and I have family members that are Dominican and everything like that. But business is done differently and stay in different countries. I would say, quote unquote countries, if we're talking about Puerto Rico. And long story short, we basically took the decision, the low hanging fruit. Puerto Rico shares the same legal system as the United States. We have the federal court system here in Puerto Rico, which we basically go up to Boston in the federal circuit court system. And we have UCC, we have everything here. So basically, we made the decision, low hanging fruit. There's really not a lot of investment. So long story short, we started in 2015 in Florida, as you mentioned. Why Florida? Well, obviously there's a heavily populated or concentrated group of Latin business owners. And we basically opened up in Florida with that mindset. We have, there's a lot of trucking and in our play in Florida, United States, while in Puerto Rico, we're generalists, but we know that, we can't compete with companies that just do copying machines or companies that just do MRI machines and all that stuff. So we have to stick to our guns, and our guns is basically transportation and construction, heavy equipment. So we basically banked on being a Latin business owner, Latin funder, but Latin equipment finance company, providing equipment finance to all parties. But obviously there was a sector or a niche that was being underserved, or a customer that was basically wanting to have a relationship as Latin business owners and many people, other parts that are not Latin as well. They appreciate doing business with people, and being able to speak your own language, being able to understand the terms and on a clear and transparent way. If apples to apples on the same language. Was our bet, and it was rewarded, and we were able to serve vendors that had also kind of a need for Spanish-speaking funders and also just Spanish-speaking consultants, because at the end of the day, we see ourselves as we're partners of our customers and partners of our vendors. So at the end of the day, we're providing a service, and part of that service in that time was to provide upfront communication. There was times when I'd be in Florida and our vendor did not know Spanish, and I'd just be translating between the vendor and the customer and just providing a service which a value added. So, we were all about value added.
So is it safe to say that now, since you've been moving west for your 3 offices, and Arizona definitely meets that niche, right? So yeah, looking for a CEFI shop here soon, right?
We won't count that out. Definitely we're in Florida, we're in Texas. We do see some good vendor relationships in Georgia as well. There's also some good vendors that we do business with that are all over the 50 states. But we're relationship driven. So wherever we are, we're going to have people on the ground. That's part of our I guess you can say our added value. We have people on the ground that are touching customers, that are touching vendors, and while we do still do business over the internet or whatever you want to call it, over the phone, and it's still our focus is to be on the ground.
No, and thank you for that. And I'm going to pivot a little bit here, if you don't mind. So,
Not at all.
what has technology done, Ricky, in as far as playing a role? Has it benefited you from, or what technology leverage to to help aid your growth? I mean, 10 years, that's a good milestone. So I guess, where do you see yourself from a technology perspective going in the next 10 years?
Yeah, it's technology obviously has been pivotal in all aspects. Just at the startup phase, without technology and without an operating system that we could use, CEFI was started by Ricardo, Guillermo, and a temporary CFO, or temporary the word I'm looking for is accountant slash
some guy good with numbers, probably a controller, maybe.
Yeah, controller is the word I was looking for. But yeah, actually, it's a lady, and which we're very happy to have now as our CFO. So it's just 3 people. So you can't start without technology being to assist you to have the operational capacity to originate, execute documents, to actually collect, to invoice, and so on and so forth. If it wasn't for technology, the company probably wouldn't have been started. And I think before the company even started lending a buck, we had already invested in the technology aspect of the company. So going on with your we continue to invest in technology. More recently now than before, we were, I would say, focused on our originations. Now, as we continue to grow the business, 10-year mark, we see, we've done great stuff in this first 10 years, but now what are we going to do for the second set of 10 years? And right now, as many people are in the industry we're investing in electronic documents. We're heavily investing in business intelligence reporting, automated reporting, where we get reports of the X-ray of every department of our business at 7 a.m. that you can eat breakfast with and see all the KPIs and what you really have to focus on at the customer level, at the collections level, at the all levels of the business. So that's what we're really focusing on. Also, providing a more efficient process in the credit underwriting process as well. And we have our hands full with that now, but definitely once we get those projects through and we'll find something else to do as well.
No, that's good. You're always kind of evolving, always kind of looking better. I know you guys have always been a lean organization, which is great.
Yep.
From a people and a culture perspective, anyone that I've met from your organization at conference, you can pretty much tell who they are because they're very lively, and they all kind of embody the spirit of yourself and your father. But we'll touch base on your dad here.
Yeah, but last point on technology, all our investment is about working smarter, not harder. And now I can actually relate to that more because as you know, as a recent first-time father, and currently in my position as COO of the company, and all of this all the growth that we're experiencing, what we want to do is basically work smarter, not harder. Be able to have a 8-to-5 job, but really that 8-to-5 job is actually, if how do I say this? Without the technology that we're implementing, we wouldn't be able to have the 8-to-5 job. It would be an 8-to-8 job. But in this business, it's 24/7. But what I'm trying to say is that technology is definitely helping us to work smarter and not harder.
Yeah, I was gonna say your dad might watch this, so be careful saying.
He sees my emails in the wee hours of the night, so I don't think he'll.
What are you doing?
Whatever I say here, he'll.
The clock, man. Get to work. So I guess you brought up little RJ turns a year in another month. Let's
next month.
Let's talk about that, man. Let's talk about dad life and kind of work-life balance. Have you figured it out yet? I mean, I guess that would be, to me, one of those blessing in disguise in regards to travel shutdown, where
definitely
you're able to be there for the things that I miss for my two kids, which is which is fantastic.
No, definitely. I think obviously RJ was born January 12th, so just in the wee stages of the pandemic and just the noise starting whenever it was starting to travel through Europe and so on and so forth. So he was born and pandemic was there. We actually traveled to Arizona, funnily enough. You remember that one? You gave me that nice restaurant recommendation. Maybe when he was a month and a half old. So we're talking about probably beginning of March, or maybe end of February. So that was his first and only trip. But he had basically RJ had 4 trips in line, and I had probably, with all the ELFA activities and other activities, the IMF, IMN, and all that, probably had, I would say, probably 12 weeks of travel or more. So fortunately, work-life balance, we have been going to the office every day basically since the pandemic. So while, I haven't been at home, but it definitely, I'd rather be in the office than in this stage with the RJ than traveling 12 or 15 or 16 months of the year. And, it's interesting, my wife, as your wife as well, is a working professional, and, she's a surgeon and in her final stage of the residency. So work-life balance is in this stage and age with her finishing up her residency. We still haven't got it, but we're doing good stuff. Her job is very variable hours, as you can imagine, and ours has our components to itself as well. So, but I can say I have been able to enjoy RJ, and he's a thrill, and as any parent knows, it's undescribable.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's amazing. It's like you sit there, you talk to Brooke, and it's like, oh, what'd you do today? I was able to put this person, and I saved a life. Oh yeah, well,
yeah.
I had 5 drinks before 5 p.m. Like I can play. Not really, but.
Yeah. It is very interesting. Sometimes it's very interesting to see the joy of when she gets back home and says, I had a beautiful operation. And then I'm like, beautiful operation? Wow, that's a very interesting way to put it. And to see the thrill on her face.
A lot of blood. I see like that stuff. I'm like, no, change channel. Watch something else.
Yeah, I'm crazy. I told her I'm crazy to actually join her in the ER and see what she does in a face-to-face. I'll be sitting down just in case. But I do definitely want to be in the room and see and awe on everything that goes on.
Good for you, man. I'm good. I'm out. So, I wanted to touch base with you on a couple more things, if you don't mind. So, sure. The Monitor came out with this 40 under 40 thing, and I've known you, I want to say, for the last 12 years. And I was surprised I didn't see you on there. And I know I have a lot of gray hair, and I've had gray hair since I've been in leasing. I'm still only 39. Not that I'm bitter or anything. It was just throwing my, I'm 39 until August.
Yeah.
Did that provide you any motivational thoughts whatsoever, or am I the only one that was kind of like, hey, what's up?
Well, I guess you can say, I'm not I do me, and I do us, and I do CEFI, and I do the family, and I'm not one of accolades and of a need to be recognized. I believe that, I recognize myself, and others recognize me for the contributions that I do. And while, we contribute on all levels, it doesn't really provide any motivation for me. I guess just the way that I am, or the way that I'm programmed, or personally, it doesn't. So, there's a time and place for everything, and really, yeah.
No, fair enough, man. I know you. I look to you as a leader. In the a future leader in the association, but a leader in your organization. So
appreciate that, and
you and I got a lot of years left. I guess we'll just leave it.
I will agree on that. I would definitely will agree on that.
So speaking of senior, so you go to a trade show, right? Like, who's the guy that you're never going to forget, right? Like, your father has one of the biggest personalities, I would say, within our industry. One of the biggest personality that I've ever really met or been around.
Yeah.
So what's that like? Because he's senior and you're junior. You know, how do you I guess compete with that?
Well, I don't think there's need to compete. I think we definitely how do you say, run off, or run on each other's energy. Different, obviously there's different levels of energy that one can transmit, and I will definitely say that it's not because he's my father, but I love my father as a person, how jolly he is, how intelligent he is, how street smart he is, and how he can beat anybody to a punchline, or he's 4 steps ahead of everybody, and he knows how to do everything. He knows how to do everything in having fun, and I think the thing that I most admire of him, that he'll talk to anybody and he'll say that he loves what he does. And obviously anybody who meets him, that that's true. And I think also another thing that I very respect about my father, that I continue trying to foster and to build is, you see what you get, or you get what you see in him. There's no BS. There's no hidden agendas. He's him, and in a phrase, I don't know if they use it in the States as well, but he has no hair on his tongue, right? He calls it as he sees it, and you can always hear him whenever he enters a room, and you can see his presence, and you can not only see and hear, and Jesse, you can feel it. So it's a great feeling to be able to be around, and always be to see how everybody appreciates him more than not. And that's just the character. So, there's different personalities, definitely. But I continue to foster and to build off of what he provides. And I'm also last point is thrilled about just, sharing the time with him that I share with him.
Absolutely.
And being to enjoy it. And we work hard, we play hard, that motto. So at the end of the day, it's he's thrilled for me to be fortunate enough for me to work with him, and vice versa. And as a leader, he's also he's an innate leader, he's an innate salesman, he's an innate business person, and just an innate good person, right? He wants the best for everybody, and he wants to have a laugh while doing everything he does.
No, I mean, he's a remarkable man, and I enjoy my time with your father on a professional level and on a social level too. I just kind of picture some of these meetings where I see you both going in there and him like, yeah, we can do that, and then he looks at you as we leave, make sure we can do that. Like that. Like, Ricky, figure that out. We're doing that.
It is interesting. I'll be frank. Sometimes I see some directions that he wants to take, and as a son, I guess you can say, sometimes I see it as a son rather than as I guess you can say him being my boss. But at the end of the day, it's easy to remember that he's our leader. He's our, we're at with the business because of his leadership and his vision. So who am I to, with my young age in the industry, 10 years in the industry or maybe less, versus him who's going on his 40th year in the industry. So it's refreshing, and I do recognize, exactly that. I still have a lot. He has a big shadow, and I definitely still have a lot to grow and to learn from him. And every day, it's something that I look forward to.
And you're going to do great things, man. So we'll kind of wrap this up here if you don't mind. Last thing, why CEFI?
So why CEFI? It's been ingrained in I think since day one, and even before day one. It's just it's all about CEFI, our corporate values, and not to make a plug here, but it's commitment to our employees, commitment to our customers, commitment to the community. And E is for excellence, financial excellence, excellence in our work. F is for financial strength, and I think is the most important one, is integrity. And that's our values when we started day one. And at the end of the day, another thing that we have ingrained in our corporate culture is that, we're basically, the way that we see ourselves, we're trustworthy people that just like to do business around personal relationships. And lastly, as Ricardo Sr. will say, is that every dollar is green. It's the service, it's the value that you provide behind it that makes a difference. So that's CEFI. We like to have fun. We like to help people. We like to bolster relationships and also invite everyone welcomely to Puerto Rico and vice versa. Just experience life and have a good time. So that's what we are, and that's what we try to emulate. And I think I think can appreciate, and that what I'm saying is how we like to operate. Let's put it that way.
No, and that's well said. And no, I agree. I mean, the first day I met your dad, and dealing with everyone in your organization, everyone's first class, and they'll literally give you the shirt off their back in a time of need, and that's fantastic and a great quality to have as an organization, man. So, thank you again for taking the time with me today, and look forward to working with you several more years in the future, Ricardo.
Definitely. Pleasure to be here. Thanks, Jesse. Always great chatting with you. I always appreciate the time we spend together and share. And as your background and my background both say, happy holidays and a prosperous 2020 to both you and I and everybody else who's watching this as well.
Thank you, Ricky.
Take care, Jesse. Bye-bye. Thank you.